What'd you say, I guess? Hold up, is it streaming? Yeah. It says it's right. Okay, now we're live. All right. Does anyone want a motion to start the meeting?
I motion to start the meeting.
All right, could I get a second?
Second.
All right, seconded. Congrats to the freshman senators. Wow, love that. What are you doing the motions? Oh yeah, guys, video's off. Unless you talk, you know. Okay, so we're gonna start with exec reports. So, Sam, go ahead.
Hello, everyone. Thank you to our guests that are here today. Just have some brief announcements. So first, this Monday, I had a student advisory committee meeting for COVID planning. It used to be for fall planning. Now it's just for COVID planning. So we started talking about spring planning, which, as the email announced, is ongoing. So that's pretty exciting and slightly nerve-wracking. One thing that I can share that I wanted to note to all of you is that, which was also like referenced in the spring 2020 intentions email that we all got, is that we're kind of shifting the goal from having like a difference between phases 2A and 2B to just having a phase 2, like a medium kind of density phase that would essentially be 2B if we determine that the public health conditions allow for the spring. And that's because we've seen at other like peer institutions that, I mean, that is something that has been done. So, I mean, that's not an answer on whether we'll be in person in the spring or not, but it is just an FYI when you're just thinking about things. I also suggested kind of like an expansion of asymptomatic testing during the meeting, which, I mean, more just an FYI than anything else. So I also had the first class president's task force meeting this weekend, which is, as we found out, required in the bylaws, and it went really well. We got to talk about like different ideas and basically got to learn from each other. So I also had a meeting with Julia and Megan to get started on the idea for that bill that we discussed for incentives for basically people to come and give us feedback during GBM as their own presentation. Exec had our bi-weekly meeting with Smeeta, Calvin, and Carolyn. We discussed student organizations, next steps on the CUE2 resolution and the retreat, which is really great. Well, the meeting was really great. The retreat in the future will be great. I had a meeting with the PRDC to discuss research they've been doing for me on possible options we can pursue if we basically end up in a situation in the fall, like around the election, where we see like serious kind of Democratic backsliding. This contingency scenario probably won't come to pass, but I think it's important to be prepared for a situation like that and start thinking about what we as a student government might be able to do to support students during that time. So I guess if anybody's interested in that, reach out to me. And I also sat in on a meeting with Nathan Smeeta and Bob McLean to talk about improving the severe weather alert system, which was inspired by the almost tornado that happened earlier this semester. And happy Blue Jay Tuesday. Thanks.
All right, so I guess I'm up next. I've just been working on the retreat and talking to Carolyn about how we can get something set up for this Saturday. I sent out an email for like the strengths quest thing, so if everyone can complete that before Friday, that would be awesome. Also, if you have not sent me your fun fact, like please do, otherwise you won't be able to participate in our like icebreaker game this weekend. And if anyone is not like able to attend the retreat, which is from 3 to 7 Eastern time this Saturday, then please like text me or email me, and it has to be like a valid excuse because this retreat is like mandatory. So we're going to take attendance on it like an SGA like GBM meeting. So just want to let you guys know that. Other than that, we just had like a meeting with Smeeta, Calvin, and Carolyn this past Monday. We discussed a bunch of things about student orgs and like retreat stuff, and we've just been working on internal SGA stuff. But yeah, that's kind of it for me. All right, up next we have Addie Perlman, the treasurer.
Hello. So SAC and Finance has been like reviewing requests and engaging with submitters on Hopkins groups. And that's where we're going to be doing like all of our communicating with groups about like what they've submitted, like for questions and anything like that. We want to make sure that it's all on Hopkins groups. And Karen came up with a really amazing system for us, which I'm going to let her like further explain. But I will say that basically every day there will be a member of either SAC or finance like on Hopkins groups to be there to respond to questions and like review requests and basically take notes on them so that when we discuss them in our meeting, we can be efficient and make sure that we get through everything. A few new updates is that a new platform has been purchased for performing arts groups to basically help them with like editing, mixing, and things like that to be used by performing arts groups. So thank you to the administrators for working on that. It's really amazing and we appreciate it. And then also like any group that needs like equipment such as microphones or softwares like Adobe editing and things like that, the DMC
Hattie, I think you're frozen. Okay. Was Addie frozen for everyone or was that just me?
No, she was frozen for me
Yeah,
too.
she's frozen for me too.
Okay.
Wait, can y'all hear me now?
Yeah, you can hear me now. I think you have to repeat everything you said because after DMC it kind of cut off.
Oh, okay. Can y'all still hear me now? Okay. Oh, okay. Oh, sorry, y'all. Okay, so basically I'm just gonna start over then. So SAC and finance like met to review requests. And so basically I'm sorry, Nathan, I didn't do that. And so basically what's been going on is we've been having our meetings to review and Karen came up with this really amazing system, which I'll let her like further explain. But basically every day we have either a SAC or a finance member who is like present on Hopkins groups to like review any new requests have come in and to like communicate with any submitters, as well as like take notes on all the requests that have come in so that when we meet, we can be like really efficient and make sure that we get through everything. And okay, y'all didn't hear any of it, right? So it's not repeating. Okay. And then also we have a new performing arts platform, which will allow like performing arts groups to like edit and like mix like songs and all kinds of things like that. So this is super exciting. So thank you to the administrators for working on that. And then also for any equipment needs like microphones, that will all be handled through the DMC, and as well as like outside softwares, like if you need Adobe or something like that, they can help like train you and like help you like use any of that for your org. So that's some exciting stuff in the finance world. I think I got everything this time. Let me know if you didn't hear any of it. I'm sorry I froze the first time.
We heard everything.
Okay, cool.
Okay. So next up we have Brianna. Brianna, you can go ahead.
I don't think she's here.
She just posted it in the
Put it in the
chat.
chat.
I can just read it out loud. So the website, her updates are the website is finally done. They're just doing nitpicky little changes on her end. And she's checked attendance for committees and so far everyone's been pretty good. And reminder that you count an absence as one so we can total the absences at the end of the year. And red means unexcused, black means normal. 0.5 means significantly late. So I would say like 50% of the meeting, like you're not there. And then if everyone could also review attendance from last JBM to make sure that it's correct. Okay, we're going to move on to committee reports. So we're going to start with academic affairs, Senator Chanda and Senator Zhang.
Hi, everyone. So academic affairs has been focusing on improving the course evaluation system. So for those of you that don't know, recently the registrar decided to remove or revamp the course evaluation system and pretty much change it to numeric results only. And while I personally think that this system is a little bit better than like the 300-page PDF that they used to post before, it's still missing a lot of information that's helpful to students. So we're going to be working with them to add that information back in.
Awesome, thank you. All right, next we have civic engagement, so Senator Wang and Senator Lee.
Hi, so we've been pretty much just working on the voter engagement campaign. We've been working very closely with Caroline and a couple of other offices to get the ambassador program off the ground, which I will be presenting later on today. And apart from that, Kobe and Harvey worked on a really fantastic, what do you call it? Form.
Yeah, they put together a really nice infographic.
Graphic, that's the word. Yeah, so that should have all of the states' registration deadlines on them and also like their links. So we pushed that out last Friday in the SGA email, and we are continuing to like post that in different places right now. Kay, did you want to talk about the video campaigns?
I would love to. Thank you, Grace. So I will be presenting later today, but today's the official release of the trailer for How to Vote on Planet Earth. Super excited to show you guys, and also show you guys the events that will follow from it. And additionally, oh, and also, again, like a big warm welcome to our freshman senators. It was amazing to have been able to actually interact with the work that one of our senators, Harvey, had already produced before he became a senator. So again, that was a part of the product we made. We're planning to incorporate that into our voter engagement plan. And also Talia, Kobe, and I sat in on, once again, with a group of students hoping to influence diversity and inclusion policies at the administration level. And they're currently working on soliciting professors to help them create more structured, more research sound surveys so that they can continue to have a voice and push these policies that they want to change. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Also, Kate, for your voter engagement presentation, could you send me the link in the chat just so I can link on?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, awesome. Next is finance, so Senator Ha.
Hi everyone. So as Addie was saying, we recently created a new system to help better review the funding requests by groups. So basically what the system is that each finance and SAC commissioner is assigned to a specific day in a 2-week cycle because we have about 16 members. And then so each day the SAC commissioner or finance member would just go onto Hopkins groups and respond to any of the requests that have the groups organizations have responded to. And also if there's any new requests, they would review that and then ask any pertinent questions that they believe that the group should have answered or that they have questions about, so that at our general meeting it would go a lot smoother and we really wouldn't have to we wouldn't have to all sit there and analyze each application and then ask the groups questions, because the groups also need time to respond. So our goal would be to, during the general meeting, to mainly do approvals, and if there's still any questions, comments, or concerns that haven't been addressed, to address those. So I think that will help the process go smoother. That's all from me, I believe. Yeah.
Awesome, thanks. Next we have health, safety, and sustainability. So Senator Chen and Senator Tai.
Hey guys, so the big thing that's happening this week is we have a presenter from MSCAC who is going to be presenting a bill of support, statement of support, addressing climate change. So looking for that. That's going to be first thing on the agenda, and we're just finding a new time for our new senators. Thank you.
Awesome. All right. Next we have internal affairs. So President Cho, actually Will isn't here, so I guess I'll just fill in. We didn't have a meeting this past week because there was no internal SGA affair bills or things that we needed to discuss. So I guess there's nothing to report for this week. Next we have student organizations. So Senator Kalahasi and Senator Chen.
Hey everyone. So kind of just big top line things. The first is that Megan and I are working on pairing our freshman liaisons and getting information together to kind of onboard them and brief them on all the conversations we all had on liaison pairings through the end of last school year and the summer, so that they're up to speed on that. We're also just plugging through getting re-registrations taken care of so that when they roll through SLI and come to us, we can approve those as fast as possible to move on. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it.
All right. Next we have student services. So President Singleton.
Hey guys, we did not meet this past Sunday, but we still are holding the meetings just before GBM at 7 o'clock EST and then 30 minutes after the meeting. And then we'll also be changing our times around for the freshmen. Excited to be confirming Talal into the committee later. And then also Grace and I are still working on the belongings issue. We're pilot testing kind of part of the process that'll hopefully be made available to like affected students pretty soon. So I'll report from me.
Yeah. All right. Next we have caucus report. So for the Black Caucus, we have Senator Oninanya.
Hey everyone, not much to report today. I've just been putting together an Excel document with the contact info for all the Black student org leaders, and we'll hopefully be sending out a when to meet for the caucus itself as well as the orgs.
Thank you. All right. Next we have the Hispanic / Latinx Caucus, Executive Secretary Sol Detelli. But if you're like frozen, Brianna, or like you can't speak, you can send your update in the chat, and then we can just read it later. So then we're going to move on to Women and Gender Minorities Caucus, so Senator Zhang.
Okay, so I have quite a bit to report. Last Thursday, Ellie and I met with members of OIE, specifically Joy, Jennifer, Linda, and Allie, and then we discussed basically the website that we were working on before. OIE gave us a lot of great edits to improve our map and also integrate it more with the OIE, like the Reader Present OIE resources. So we are working on that right now. And then also we asked them some questions about like legal issues that might come up with our blog, but they seem to be pretty supportive of the blog for student stories that we came up with. So that's good news. We were hoping to have chair and vice chair elections at the end of the month. We decided, or Katie and I were talking about it, and we decided to remove the committees that we currently have and just have working groups with like group heads. But we need to talk more about like our current committee chairs about this issue. So that's in the works right now. And then lastly, if you guys saw in the Slack that Katie mentioned, that if you have legislation that pertains to women and gender minorities on campus, that'd probably be like civic engagement, HSS, like even academic affairs, or like anyone else. If you could send it over to us whenever that happens, and then we can review it along with the committees, just like on our own, and then let you know if there are like issues that we find. And I think that's it. Yeah, thank you.
All right. Okay. So I guess next is the advisor report from Carolyn.
Hey everyone, just two quick I guess updates. I'm actually very excited for the retreat this weekend. I'll be facilitating some of the activities, so looking forward to seeing everyone. And then it's currently Hoptoberfest, so make sure we are promoting the things that are happening this week. I think stuff started yesterday and goes through Friday, so you know, get your friends out there and really start doing some engagement. You'll have to check Hopkins groups, Anthony. I am not sure who the artist is. The Hopkins groups event will tell you though. So yeah, looking forward to this weekend.
Awesome, thank you. All right, so we're gonna go on to new business now. The first thing we have on our agenda is the MSCAC Statement of Support presented or introduced by Senator Tai. I know that there's guest speakers, so you guys have like 5 minutes to like introduce everything. And just let me know what link you want me to be on. Like, should I start with the presentation?
Yeah, sure. Marisa, are you there? Let me just...
I'm here. I wasn't sure if I was able to start talking yet, but the presentation would be great. Thank you.
Okay, awesome. Just let me know whenever you want me to flip it.
Okay. So I'm Marissa. I'm an environmental engineering major here at Hopkins. And this summer I joined the Mary Perg Student Climate Action Coalition. We call it MSCAC. And it started out of UMD College Park. And it's basically a student group that is working towards climate justice in Maryland. So you can go to the next slide, please. So it's composed out of undergraduate and graduate students from across Maryland. Right now we have delegates from 10 different schools in Maryland. I think Hopkins might be the only private school right now. A lot of the schools are part of the University System of Maryland, but there are 2 schools that are not, which are St. Mary's College and Morgan State. And this is an entirely student-run group, but we have mentors and professionals who have been helping us with this legislation that we're hoping to get the support from the SGA today. So can you go to the next slide again, please? So the basic mission of the organization at the moment is to pass a climate action commitment bill through the Maryland General Assembly, because that would affect all the public four-year colleges in Maryland. And if that doesn't happen, we're hoping to get it through the University System of Maryland. But if it goes through the General Assembly, it'll affect all the colleges. And we also have a goal to promote environmental justice and education throughout the state. That's kind of a secondary goal right now because the carbon neutrality commitment bill is the main focus right now. Could you go to the next slide again, please? Thank you. So the basic 4 points of the bill are carbon neutrality, offset requirements, offset verification, and an Office of Sustainability for all the universities to which this bill would apply. And so for the next 4 slides, I'll be going over some of these ideas. So carbon neutrality, this bill is trying to address scope 1, 2, and 3 emissions. The scope 1 emissions are directly from the universities. So this would be like any energy that they own, their buildings, vehicle fleets. Scope 2 is indirect emissions that they would purchase. So this would be electricity or any other power that they're purchasing. And scope 3 is indirect. So that would be like commuters driving to the school. So the goal is to get universities in Maryland to reduce their carbon or to reach carbon neutrality by 2030. But we know this is kind of an ambitious goal. So we are also offering offsets, which are less ideal, but another solution to try to reach this carbon neutrality, which I can explain in the next slide. So the offset requirements, the deadline is in 2035 because they're a little bit harder to do. And we're trying to prioritize offsets that are in the state of Maryland to promote Maryland economy. And we're trying right now to edit the bill a bit so that the 4th point we have, that these offset projects should prioritize those who have been historically disadvantaged or affected in a bad way by environmental injustices. We're trying to change the wording so that's a little bit better. But basically the offsets are things that you purchase to show that you've reduced your carbon emissions. And these can be like planting trees or purchasing other types of things that it's more like when you're not reducing the scopes themselves, but you're purchasing something to offset the things that you are still doing. So this is less ideal than what we are hoping for in the carbon neutrality part 1 of the bill. Can you go to the next slide? Thank you. The offset verification is not something that I'm completely, I guess I don't have the best expertise on this area. So, and unfortunately the people who do are not here today, but basically there are different methods in Maryland that can help us approve these standards. And I'm sure we'll also be updating this part of the bill to be more specific. And then the last part of the bill is the Office of Sustainability, because not all schools in Maryland even have an Office of Sustainability. So we're hoping that by 2030, there will be at least one dedicated position at each university. And if they cannot afford to hire a new position, we're hoping that someone else in the school is already kind of filling those roles and maybe they can be given a title. In any case, we're just trying to make sure that all the schools have someone that is thinking about these sort of things for the university. Can you go to the next slide? Thank you. So the significance of this is because we're trying to move the timeline forward. I think we all know that climate change is here right now and we have to start taking action. And many schools in Maryland have deadlines in 2050. Some don't really have any goals at all. So we're trying to establish this in Maryland. And it's harder to get universities to switch to renewable energy completely because UMD just purchased a power plant. This is actually kind of why MSCAC was born, is because the UMD students who wanted to switch to renewable energy found that UMD had already purchased a power plant and it wouldn't be possible to do that. So they kind of switched approaches. We're just hoping that since universities are centers of environmental or just like education in general. And they are where all this knowledge is coming out of. We're hoping that they will practice what they preach and work to reduce their own carbon emissions. And then if you could go to the next slide. So we know that finances are a big problem with this, but we're estimating that in the long run, it'll actually end up saving the university's money. And even though it's only like a 2% increase in the energy spending, which again is something that I'm not completely an expert on, and I wish there was someone else who could explain this more. But in general, we do know that COVID will be a big tax on the budgets of the universities. So we tried to give them a little bit more time, and we're talking with the delegate who is a sponsor of our bill right now to try to figure this stuff out too. So the next slide, I believe, is more about the delegate. So Delegate Solomon is in the Appropriations Committee of the House of Delegates in the Maryland General Assembly. We have been talking to other delegates, and they believe that when the bill is introduced, it will be introduced to the Appropriations Committee because they control the money, and this is a very financial bill. But we also have support from some of the other delegates and senators mentioned in different committees across the House of Delegates and a couple senators. And Delegate Solomon is a former teacher in Baltimore, and he has his master's in teaching from Hopkins, so there's a small connection there. He seems very passionate about it and has been giving us advice on where to go next, including trying to get into contact with Office of Sustainabilities at the schools and other environmental organizations across Maryland. So I'm just hoping that our SGA will sign a letter to stand in solidarity with students at other public Maryland universities, because this problem is climate change is not only going to affect the public universities, it affects private students as well. We aren't isolated from it. And I think it might also help pressure Hopkins into taking further action if it's put into law. I did a little bit of research and found they had a 2008 climate action plan, and that recently they purchased renewable energy, I believe, through a 15-year deal with Exxon. But it seems like their goal was just to reduce by 51% by 2050. And I think that maybe we could be doing more. I also think it would be helpful to get some collaboration between the two, so maybe we could share ideas. And so I guess, yeah, I'm just asking or hoping that we can sign a statement of support for MSCAC and just do a little bit more to help get this bill passed in the General Assembly. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you so much for presenting. I guess if anyone wants to motion for like maybe a Q&A or a moderate caucus, and I can pull up on my screen, I guess like the letter of support that they had. So I'll pull up the statement of support. Also, both of those are linked in the agenda. The first link is the letter of or statement of support from JHU SGA if we do choose to sign on to it. And the second link is the MSCAC bill that they have in effect. So would anyone like to motion for anything? Also, I know by mistake we skipped class council reports, so we're gonna go back to that after we do this. Yes, Carolyn, go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's a point of information or point of clarification. Should this be a bill through SGA or should it be a resolution? Like what would a bill do? Should it be a bill?
Oh, it's not a bill. It's just us signing on to a letter. So it's not a bill or a resolution per se. SGA has like signed on to like letters that we support like in the past. So it's just like we just like before like exec board, I guess, or like Sam can't just like sign our name on like a public like statement of support for something without getting like SGA or Senate approval. So this is why like this is presented in this format.
Thank you.
So if anyone wants to motion for a moderate caucus or a Q&A with Marissa, if you still have questions, we are open to it. Or for moving into voting procedure, but I would really say, do one of the other two.
Motion to go into voting procedure.
Okay, do I have a second for that or any other motions?
I was gonna ask if I could motion to suggest the Q&A.
Yeah, you can.
Yes, you can. Kobe, I recognize your motion. Could I get a second for Kobe's
I'll
motion?
second that.
Seconded.
Second.
Thank you. All right, so now we are going to motion into a Q&A, but Kobe, since you motioned for that, you can set the parameters of the Q&A. So you would motion for a 5-minute Q&A with 30-second speaking times or something like that.
Just 5 minutes, 30-second speaking time.
All right, and also if anyone wants to speak or be added to the speakers list, just raise your hand. All right, Kobe, you can go ahead, and after you is Talal, and after Talal is Brianna. So go ahead.
So one of the questions that I had, I'm new, so apologies if it's bad, but since this is for public colleges in Maryland to reach that carbon neutrality, do we have a similar type of rule at Hopkins already? Otherwise, is it kind of preachy that we're telling other colleges while we don't? Sorry if that's a little scrambled.
No, that's good. Marissa, would you be able to answer these questions?
Yeah, so I completely understand that. I think what I saw from Hopkins so far was that the 51% plan and their climate action research in 2008. So after that point, I don't believe we've done anything more than that. So I'm hoping that this will also motivate us. I know it does seem a little preachy that we haven't done the full commitment, but I think if Hopkins sees the public universities doing it, that they would feel pressured to do it themselves. If that answers your question.
All right.
It does. Thank you.
Next, we
And
have
just a point of information. It's 51% by 2025, so it actually is a little bit better.
Yes. Thank you.
All right, Talal, go ahead.
Yeah, I dropped this in the chat, but Calvin Smith, who used to be our advisor, his wife is a delegate in the Maryland, I don't know what the word is, but in the Maryland delegation, Congress, whatever it is. So yeah, she could.
House of Representatives.
Yeah, there you go. So yeah, I'd reach out to Calvin and see if she could help. I know she actually just recently passed a bill. Yeah, there's no hurt in asking.
Sorry, I don't know the exact rules, but thank you for that. Could you send me her contact information?
Oh yeah, sure.
All right. Next we have Brianna.
So Marissa, I actually have a few questions for you. First off, how did you get in contact with Delegate Solomon? So I literally have a list, so I might check them out. Secondly, is Delegate Solomon sponsoring this to the General Assembly? If so, do you have a deadline for that? Because I'm pretty sure that General Assembly voting procedure opens on January 6th and ends in about May-ish. Thirdly, do you know what committee this is going to go through in the General? So I'm going to type these out because I'm really just hitting you with a whole lot of information. So first off, how did you meet? Secondly, what committee is it going? All right, so that's the majority of my questions. I yield my time to Marissa. Oh heck, am I?
You're good, Brianna. Marissa, you can go ahead and answer. I think she dropped most of her questions in the chat, in case you can't remember all of them at once.
Yeah. So I was not the one who got into contact with Delegate Solomon. I think we got a recommendation to talk to him through Delegate Charkoudian, who was the first person we reached out to on, I believe it's the Environmental Committee. I don't know if that name is correct, but the bill will be going through the Appropriations Committee, which is why we want him to be the sponsor of our bill. And that's the committee that he is on. We have also spoken to the head of that committee, Delegate McIntosh, who has shown support for our bill. And the deadline for the bill that's a great question. He did mention our last meeting that this may not be getting through in the next session that they have. It might take longer than that because of like COVID has changed priorities. So I don't know what the deadline for going to assembly is necessarily, but I believe it'd be going through the House of Delegates first and then to the Senate. And I can also get you into contact with the co-coordinators of the coalition if you have more questions about that.
Thank you. All right. Next we have Nathan. So Nathan, you can go ahead.
Yeah, I was just wondering what other universities you've gotten to sign on to this letter.
So at the moment, I believe St. Mary's and UMBC, I can double check that information. I know that they're trying to get it through the University of Maryland College Park SGA right now. I think the University of Maryland, the Salisbury University, my bad. Yeah, Salisbury University, St. Mary's College of Maryland, and the UMBC are the three that we have right now. And also, just double checking to make sure I get this right. The University of Maryland Center for Environmental Science are the SGAs we have at the moment.
Okay, thanks.
All right, next we have Talia, and then we have Ben, and then Sam, and then our moderator caucus or our Q&A is going to end.
Am I allowed to say something, or do I have to ask a question?
Oh, you're going to say something if you want.
Okay, yeah, I just wanted to say that the Office of Sustainability right now is like basically creating new plans for the upcoming years, and I think they're going to be finalizing that in the next couple of years. And so I just wanted to let everyone know that, and because I think like passing this bill or like signing on it or whatever would be really helpful for the office to see and maybe encourage them in some of their efforts.
Thanks, Talia. All right, next we have Ben. Also, when you guys talk, you can turn on your videos if you want. Like, you don't have to keep it off.
Is MSCAC or one of the public schools that this bill would affect soliciting this letter, or are we choosing just of our own volition to sign on to their movement without them requesting it?
Yes, we are soliciting this letter. We're trying to get letters from all of the delegates that are a part of the organization at the schools.
All right, Sam, you can go ahead. I know you wanted something.
Yeah, so one, I mean, thank you for submitting this to us. I mean, sustainability is definitely one of my priorities this year, and I'm definitely glad that we didn't even have to come to you. You came to us, so I'm pretty excited about this. And second, this is just kind of, it might be a little nitpicky, but I think it might be worth looking at. So in the letter, in the second paragraph, with the hyperlink, when you click on the hyperlink, it brings you to a page of organizations, and some of them aren't really organizations that are actually around sustainability. So I think it might just, and like, I mean, you can do whatever you want, but I think it might just clean it up a little bit if we remove the hyperlink. And I also had a question about the line about we acknowledge the damage that Hopkins has caused to Baltimore in the past and support MSCAC's initiatives to increase education surrounding environmental injustice. So I guess to me, that line implies that Hopkins has done environmental injustice things in the past. And I was thinking if you know of any, it might be good just to include that in the letter so people don't just see that and think like, oh, I don't know what they're talking about. Like there's actually something there. So I was just wondering, I don't know, your thoughts on that. Thank you again for coming.
Okay, thank you. I think I do not remember if I put the hyperlink in there. I know I was also working on editing this with JJ, I believe, but the line about the Hopkins involvement in the past, I think, thank you. Yes, I don't know if I have a specific example to put there. If you think the voice of the SGA, it would be better to take that out. I understand. I just want to make sure that whatever is written is something that you guys agree with. So feel free to make any changes that you think are necessary.
So I guess, Sam, if you want to edit it, like you can, or like put up a comment. Sam said motion for a moderated caucus to discuss. Does anyone want a motion for that? Anthony, I saw your hand was up. Did you want to say something?
Yeah, I'll motion for the moderated caucus. 5 minutes, 30-second speaking times.
Can I get a second?
Seconded.
All right. All in favor of, sorry, I forgot to do this before. All in favor of a moderated caucus, please go to the participants tab and hit yes or hit no, whatever you want. All right. Okay, so we might, that's majority. All right, so we're gonna be in a moderate caucus now. Okay, Anthony, you can go ahead on the speakers list and then I'll add Sam. And then if anyone else wants to go, then just raise your hand in the participants tab.
Yeah, I just want to say again, thanks for writing this letter. I definitely think that we should sign on to it, but I personally would be for taking out the line like we acknowledge the damage that Hopkins has caused to Baltimore in the past, just because it's so vague. And like, unless we have like a specific example of what we're taking accountability for, I just think it's kind of, I don't know. I don't think we should just include that, but that's my take.
Sam, do you want to go up next?
Yeah, sure. So I guess kind of like my thoughts. So I think it's something that like, I mean, again, basically what I just said. I think it is something that'd be good to include, like maybe if we had a little bit more to back it up. And also like if people think like this is fine, then like, you know, it's not a hill I'm gonna die on. And I also don't even get to vote on this. So it's not even up to me. But it was just something I wanted us to discuss. I also think, I mean, like one kind of concern that I had, like less on the issue itself and more just like we send this to the Maryland State Legislature and they read it, and then they see a line that's like, we acknowledge the damage that Hopkins has caused to Baltimore, and you know, we want to support MSF's initiatives. I think kind of just like with the we acknowledge the damage, like we're just saying like, yeah, like we as an institution are horrible, but we want you to do this. And I think it's actually, I do think it's okay to put it in there. And, you know, I just said that for hyperbole to illustrate the point. Like it isn't saying we're horrible. It's just acknowledging things that we've done in the past that weren't great, which I think is important. But I don't know, like maybe during this moderated caucus, we could discuss something more to put there. We could discuss whether we think it weakens or strengthens the argument. I just really wanted to bring it up. Thanks.
Nathan, you can go ahead.
Yeah, this is kind of a question, kind of a point. So I was curious whether HSS had been given this to look through. Part of me is kind of leaning towards like taking a week to really go through it with a fine-tooth comb and make sure that we've, yeah, I guess vetted it, but I'll yield to whoever's chair of HSS.
JJ and Megan, you can go ahead.
Hi. So this like statement of support was written between the time that I can turn my video on. Between the time that MSCAP presented this bill to us and between now. So the entire committee hasn't looked at it, but the committee chairs has. But also to talk about this point of that one sentence, you can also think of it as us as a global community, like us as a world, we're not taking care of planet Earth well. Like there's forest fires in California, there's Australia's burning up, ice caps are melting, like we're clearly in a climate crisis. So regardless of, we don't have to get too specific in terms of institutions, and you can just acknowledge that us as a global community, we are failing in the climate crisis. Thank you.
All right, Talia and then JJ, and then I'm gonna add myself to the speakers list. Also, the speakers list is gonna expire in 1 minute and 30 seconds, so please stick to your 30-second time limit. Go ahead, Talia.
Okay, so I just wanted to say that I think that that line is a very important part of the document, and I understand like the concerns about it, especially I think like the nuance is that like it's in the past and it's not currently, although you could disagree with that in some ways, but I think that that because it's in the past, then I don't think that's going to be a problem for legislators. And I also think that it's important for Hopkins to take responsibility and accountability for actions, and clarification of what exactly that is would be definitely helpful for the bill though. So that's what I wanted to say.
All right, JJ, you can go ahead.
All right, so my point I want to make is just going back to that one sentence about the damage Hopkins has done to local area, or just done to the residents of Maryland. When I read this letter for the first time, I was thinking about more in the bigger picture of like how Hopkins has investment in fossil fuel industry, just in general, some bigger picture stuff, not specifics, but I'm okay with taking it out.
All right. I just want to say that like I like the line about the global community, but maybe if we like kind of clarified it, like sorry, that's the timer. Maybe if we clarified it, like we acknowledge that like maybe instead of saying like Hopkins, we could say like as part of the global community, like we acknowledge like the damage that we have done. So like kind of make it more like broad in a sense, if that would kind of work for everyone. I don't know. Also, the moderate caucus ended or expired. So if anyone wants to like motion for an extension on the moderate caucus, they can do that if people still think that they want to speak, or motion for like moving into voting procedure. Someone can
Motion for a 5-minute extension to the
All right.
moderate caucus.
All right.
Second.
Seconded. All right. All in favor of that, can you go hit the yes or the no on the participants tab? Okay, that's more than half. All right, so Anthony, you can go ahead, and then we'll do Ben after you.
Okay, yeah, I just wanted to say, like, I'm in favor of like changing it to more like the general like global community. I think that's a nice solution. And also, like, if you're in favor of keeping it, I would recommend that we add specifically what we're taking accountability for instead of just leaving it as a vague statement.
Thank you. Okay, Ben, you can go ahead too.
Mine's kind of a question, kind of a statement. So I am very much all for taking responsibility as an institution for past harms. However, I don't really see what it accomplishes in the context of this letter. It would be better if it's specific just for more information, but I think that any sort of acknowledgement about past harms as motivation for doing this doesn't really fit, because this is more talking about like, maybe if it were at the end, when we're talking about kind of how we're connected to the issue, even though we're all separately, but where it is right now, it's kind of just saying, this is a problem, and also we helped make this problem, but isn't, or it's saying this is a solution to a problem Hopkins helped make, but it's not super relevant to why we should solve it.
All right, thank you, Ben. Nathan, you can go ahead.
Oh, I didn't know it was on me. Yeah, so I think that there's a lot of discussions about the particular language of the bill, and I want to be sure that we're using our GBM time most effectively, and I think they're kind of happening here and kind of in text chat. So I'm probably partial to us tabling the bill. I really think it's, the letter, I think it's really great, and I really love the intentions. I just want to be sure that our like public face to the House of Delegates is something that we all really agree with. And so I would probably be in favor of tabling and rediscussing next week after we have time to have kind of more like longer, more detailed discussions.
All right, thank you, Nathan. JJ, you can go ahead. I see your hands raised. And then Megan.
I was gonna say what Nathan was saying. I think because the bill was kind of rushed, and the writing team was not, we did not probably read through the whole thing to make sure the language was coherent enough. So and also regarding the few details that we don't necessarily agree on, I think it's best to table it till next general body meeting, so we have more time to read through it and agree on it before we sign on to it.
All right, thank you, JJ. Megan, you can go next.
Hi, Marissa, I'm going to talk about like the details of the bill, so correct me if I'm wrong. But this statement of support isn't committing Hopkins to all of the like specific details of like actual solutions. It's more looking for approval from the representatives of Maryland and like the state delegates, state assembly, whatever you want to call it, House of Representatives of Maryland, to get started on a solution rather than letting it sit on the back burner. I yield my time to Marissa if she wants to correct me or if I misunderstood anything.
Yes, that is correct.
All right.
So I can't retake, so okay, never mind. Can I add one more sentence? Sorry. Now that I know that my prior knowledge is is correct, I would like to emphasize that we're not committing Hopkins University to any of these solutions or actively taking action per se. I know it's literally just a statement of support, and obviously the faster we get it done, the better. But if you want to table it, that's also perfectly fine. Thank you.
All right, so the moderate caucus is going to expire in 6 seconds, so it's basically done. And I also see there are no more speakers. So if anyone would like to motion for anything, you can motion to table the bill, motion to move into voting procedure, or motion for like a Q&A or a moderate caucus. So you can go ahead.
I motion to table.
All right, all in favor to table the bill until further notice, probably next week, go and hit the yes on the participants tab. If you're against that, you can go hit the no on the participants tab, and we'll count that. And also, tabling doesn't mean we're completely disregarding. Tabling doesn't mean we're completely disregarding the bill. It just means that we're gonna look at it at a later time. So I see that 16 people have voted. If I could get Talia and Megan and Mariano's vote, and Jenny.
I think I'm conflict of interest.
Sorry?
I think I'm conflict of interest.
Oh, okay, yeah, then thank you. All right, so it looks like we're gonna table the bill with 23 votes. So thank you, Marissa, so much for coming to the meeting. We're definitely gonna take a look at this again next week and let you know. But I think your bill probably has a good chance of passing because of all the all the feedback that we got on it. So we'll just put it back through committee so they can kind of nitpick like the wording, and we'll send it to you. But thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right. So because I forgot to do class council reports, we're gonna go back to class council reports real quick. So could I get the seniors? So I know Will's not here, so if anyone else from the seniors, oh, sorry, Mehek, could I present real fast? Oh, okay, I know Grace has to leave, so actually we'll do her presentation first. Sorry, this meeting is all over the place. So we're gonna do the voter engagement ambassador presentation from Senator Wang. I'll screen share it. Sorry, Grace.
It's okay, it's just, yeah, I have another meeting. I'm really sorry about this. But yeah, I'll keep this fast, and there's nothing that you really need to like vote on, but I would love feedback. So the general purpose of this ambassador program is to work within our SGA Hopkins Votes voter engagement campaign for the 2020 election. And because we're all like scattered all over the place, it's really difficult for people to like engage their like friends and really just like bump into people and get people to engage that way. We thought the best way to get all these students to really organically spread the message is to do it through their organizations. In 2016, we got some NSOLV data, which is essentially just voter registration and voter engagement data. And we found that only 42% of eligible undergrad Hopkins students actually voted. So it's kind of bad. And we're really striving for 100% this year. And we really can't do that without a lot of support, especially from organizational leaders. And so the requirements of this program are to commit your organization to 100% eligible voter participation. So this means that anybody who can vote has registered and then also has voted. It's linked to a CSC form that just kind of says that I'm committing my organization. And it has a little more information, and it also prompts you to go attend a CSC voter engagement training. So the next training that we have is a Make a Plan to Vote training, which is tomorrow, Wednesday, 6 to 7 p.m. EST. And so it's essentially just how to engage your members in this conversation, and also they're distributing a folder of a bunch of like templates, like email and social media templates that you can just like send out to your your members. So you really don't have to do that much. And so we're requiring these organizations to distribute information to their members regarding the following important election dates. So this week is Plan to Vote week. So a lot of states are closing up their registration. And so we're really shifting towards more encouraging people to go get their absentee ballots, sign up, fill out those forms so that they can actually vote absentee or mail-in should they choose to. And then we're highlighting a couple of other dates, including October 20th, which is not actually the last day to submit your ballot. However, it's very much a benchmark for a lot of states. So that we're really encouraging people to go look up on their state's website what their actual date is, but that should be, it's a pretty conservative estimate as to when people need to mail in those things. And then obviously November 3rd. And then we're also requiring a specific percentage of active members to submit a voter engagement ambassador survey, which should be on campus groups. I've been working with Caroline to try to get this done. And it's essentially just a survey that asks you if you're registered, yes, no, ineligible. And then if you are registered, how you're planning to vote, whether that be absentee or mail-in. And then if you know your absentee or mail-in deadline. And then if you are voting in person, do you have a valid ID and know where you're actually voting? And so this, we're not trying to collect data about anybody. We're just really trying to prompt people to go look those things up and have them at the forefront of their minds, because we can't actually track who actually voted until like 2 or 3 years out. And so there are a couple of benchmarks for different size groups, because we know that it's very difficult to track down people if you have a very large group. And so for all your trouble, while civic engagement is great, and it should be your first priority in this program, we're also offering a couple of bonuses so that organizations that complete these criteria by election night will be able to receive these things. So I've been talking to Caroline and also a couple of other offices. I was just in touch with the New Student Orientation office, and we're trying to offer different things should organizations want these things. So like priority tabling at CIF, additional publicity either through Hopkins. I'm trying to get the Hopkins Instagram to get a feature on us in the hub, and also possibly shout outs during orientation. So these select organizations put voter engagement and civic engagement at the forefront of their minds. And then the survey, I've kind of done a mock one in Google Forms. This is not the actual survey. It will be in campus groups. So it's if you just go through it very quickly, it's just if you're registered to vote and all the other things that I said before. I would love that, Sam. But yeah, so we're also trying to engage students that are, it could be a bit jank. I wouldn't actually go through it all. But we're trying to also engage students who are ineligible. So if they're international students, we're just gonna have them fill out a very short response as to how you're civically engaged. And we're not actually tracking that, but we just want you to be engaged and fill out the form. And that's pretty much my presentation.
Thank you, Grace. Did you want feedback on this, or did you just kind of want to present? Would you prefer to have a moderator caucus to discuss this, or
Yeah, I would love feedback on this.
All right. Would anyone like to motion for anything?
Motion for moderated caucus.
How many minutes and how many seconds speaking times?
I don't know, 3 minutes, 30 seconds. Is that fine?
Seconded.
Okay.
Seconded. All right. All in favor of a 3-minute moderated caucus with 30 seconds speaking times, please go to the participants tab and hit yes. If you're against it, then hit no. If you are abstaining, then I guess just don't vote. Or actually go hit the away thing on the participants tab. All right. We have more than half, so we're good. Talia, since you're the one who motioned for it, you get first on this process. And if anyone wants to be added, just raise your hand.
Yeah, I think the program looks really great, and I think that it seems like it would definitely help in terms of like increasing voter turnout, and I like it. So yeah.
Thank you. I can go next. I really like this program. I just had like a question. How are you guys gonna like promote this? Like, how are you gonna make sure student orgs or like student organizations like know about this and like make sure you get word out to like everyone? I guess I yield the rest of my time to you, Grace.
Yeah, so I think that's fantastic. We plan on sending it out through the CSO email and hopefully get all those organizations to at least look over it. And then I really plan on sort of like dispersing it. I dispersed it to a couple of, or like gave a preview to a couple of the organizations that I'm in. And hopefully that people can really disperse it sort of through word of mouth. And then potentially some social media, but that's still in the works.
I'm just gonna take back some of my time real quick. I would really recommend like utilizing SGA's social media to like promote this, like maybe make like flyers or something, be like, if you do this by like November 3rd, like these are the things, and like have the bonuses listed so people are like, oh my god, like yay, like obviously like an incentive kind of like motivates people to do things, like maybe a social media campaign on like Facebook or like Instagram, just like spam everyone, just like, and then maybe get testimonials from people, be like, oh my god, I'm so excited. Like they can be fake, but like, you know what I mean, like it could be like funny.
Yeah, I love it.
Anthony, I saw your hand was up. Do you still want to go?
Yeah, I just had a quick question actually. So like, how is it like measured, like the effectiveness of this? So how are we gonna like see the voter participation like after the fact to see like how well it worked, like this program?
Frankly speaking, we won't see like actual results until NANSOL does their like data collection again, and that's in about 2 years. What we're also trying to do is use a survey to gauge how many students and how many orgs would be interested in this and are sort of on the lookout for this. And so there is no way to actually like very accurately predict how many students are registered and how many students actually, especially voting. There's no way that I can require people just to send me things. So frankly speaking, we can't see actual data for a couple of years, but we're trying to gauge.
I got you. Thanks.
Okay, the moderator caucus ended, so yeah. But if anyone wants to extend it, they can do that. But also, if you have anything you want to tell Grace, like probably like message it in like the civic engagement chat, or like even in general, or like privately message her, because this is very important. It is election year, so great. Like, you know, we should really support civic engagement now more than ever. Like every 4 years, like civic engagement gets their moment to shine. So this is Grace and Kate eyes here, I guess. But yeah, thank you, Grace, so much for your presentation. All right. I guess we're gonna move on to the class council reports, because we still have not done that. So I'm gonna start with seniors. I know that Will is not here, but does anyone else want to take his place and like give an update?
I don't think senior class council is working on anything new right now. I did bring up at our last meeting that I'm considering doing something to increase like competition in non-freshman senator elections in the future. Currently workshopping that idea with the rest of senior class council and CC especially. So yeah.
All right, thank you, Julia. Next we have junior. So Nathan, your moment to shine is finally here. So turn
I
on
was
that.
just about to say, about time. No. The funny thing is I don't really have much to report. So we had a meeting with Nick. We're kind of talking about how best we can spend our budget. Nick's our advisor for people who don't know. We had an Among Us tournament last week that actually went really well. We had really good turnout. Other than that, we've started talking about different like virtual engagement ideas, and then we also are starting to get into conversations about what things are going to look like in the spring, depending on the different modalities that we could be in. So some people, or actually Nick brought up the idea of drive-in things, which I hadn't considered, but I think are maybe a really great model that we can use. I need to look into it more, but just kind of food for thought for other councils, that's something that didn't immediately come to mind for me that might be a good way for us to build community if we're in like phases 2. I guess we're not doing 2A or B anymore, but just like phase 2.
All right, thank you, Nathan. Then we have sophomores, so Anthony.
The sophomore class council also attended the event, the Among Us tournament, which kind of turned into like a class competition between the sophomores and the juniors. And it was just friendly competition, but we definitely destroyed them, and sophomores represented. So go sophomores. Now we're on to planning for Halloween.
Boo.
I'm excited for that. All right, and then we have the freshmen. Yeah, go ahead, Toby.
Ooh, okay. So we had our first meeting last Saturday where we worked on planning some events for the next couple of months and such. And we sorted out the whole mess of when to meet and all of that. So what we have so far is we're planning some events with the DMC and HopMC, the campus recreation people for Minecraft, to get some events up for Halloween. And we're going to be meeting with them later this month. And we also have our first meeting with our advisor next week. So we're just super excited to get started and into motion.
Oh my God, I'm excited for you guys. It's gonna be fun. All right. So with that, we're gonna go back to new business, and we're gonna do Senator Witala's confirmation to student services. So we're gonna make it official now, Talal. So could I get like a motion to move into voting procedure on Senator Witala's confirmation to student services?
Motion to move into voting procedure.
Second.
Can everyone go to the participants tab and hit the yes or the no thing? All right, so that's majority. All right, so now that we have moved into voting procedure, now we're gonna vote.
Okay, hopefully I stay unfrozen long enough to actually read these. But Angela, could you vote? Ireland and Jenny, could you both vote?
She did not stay long enough.
She did not. All right. So now that we have, okay, so we just moved into voting procedure, and this voting that everyone is doing right now is voting on yes to confirming Talal to student services. So yes, we have a majority vote. It's 22, or now it's 23. So congrats, Talal, you're now an official member of student services. All right, so next we're gonna move to Senator Lee's presentation on how to vote on planet Earth. So Kira, you can turn on your video and I will give you screen sharing access.
It seems like I don't have permission to turn on my camera.
Oh, what? Okay, do you have permission now?
Yes, indeed. Hello, hello. All right. Oh, and may I also have permission to share screen?
It does not allow me to give you permission to share screen. Would it be okay if I use mine? Sorry, I did not know that I couldn't do that.
No, you're
I
good.
just gave you permission. I gave you permission. You should be able to do it now.
Ooh, magic. Indeed, I do.
Oh, okay.
Amazing.
He's good at this, so go ahead.
All right. Hello, everyone. So again, been working on this project with some really awesome people, and it's really exciting to be able to present everything today. So as promised, here's a trailer. And we're going to try something today that we'll also do during the actual screening of the events. So I'm going to ask everyone to go to this website, and that way you can watch from your screen. So I'll play the video, but you'll be able to play it in real time. So if everyone can go to that, when you get there, it'll ask you to put in a nickname. Please choose something appropriate. And I'll give everybody about 60 seconds.
Wait, is like a video supposed to be playing? I'm like confused.
Yes, I'm just giving everyone 60 seconds to get on the website.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Is there a certain browser we should be using?
Either is, I don't know if it does make a difference.
Yeah, I'm on Firefox and I think I'm having issues, but I might just be dumb.
Oh, you're good.
Who uses Firefox?
Point of information, if one person clicks, does that affect all of us? Like basically,
I think,
okay, so should people not be touching it at all?
yes.
Okay,
Please.
I think, yeah, because I was like trying to play it. So, and I think other people were also trying to, like, we're all trying to play it. Okay, so I won't touch it. Thank you.
Yes, please don't touch it. Thank you. All right, 60 seconds are up. If you guys are on the screen, we're gonna watch it together. If you don't, okay. So you can either watch it from the website or here. Here we go.
Kati, there's no sound. I think you have to share your audio.
Oh, so yeah, it's not playing on the website for me.
Me either.
Okay. Okay, I'm just gonna share from my screen then. And I'll also post the link in the chat so that you guys can watch on your own.
A place to live in.
Some people say that. All right.
And yet here we come and we all are in one place. And
the 1950s.
My country is beautiful. My country, it's new. It hasn't been around for a super long time. It has roots in one culture, but it's also uniquely now part of another culture. Actually, we are known to be a symbol of freedom.
This is a way where our country's history was erased, eradicated.
It was a very difficult place to live in.
Some people say that they don't belong to themselves. How can elections occur when you only see one name on the ballot, one political party?
It was always about what they couldn't do. They couldn't get this. They couldn't go here. They couldn't do this.
If you do something wrong, they can shoot you. If you say something they don't like, they take you away.
You have a way of judging folks that is so strange for us.
A man cannot live like this. A man is meant to improve themselves.
It's crazy how neglected this right is.
Yes,
when in many other places people dream of it. But also it shows what happens when the people around you.
It could change. Not in a day, but not after forever.
They do it on their own and then all together eventually.
And we need to come as Americans and try to stand up and overcome this, just as we have done in the past.
Historians called it a miracle. Everything changed so fast.
I think my dish can represent a union of all different people. The range with which you can speak is pretty broad.
It's something that had been long fought for.
And those who do have power have every right to make sure that those who deserve it, that those who do not have it, do have it.
The government's by the people for the people. It shouldn't be what the government does to you. It should be what you as a collective do for yourself.
As a result of that, we're all responsible to create something new together and to envision something better.
This place is very small, but lots of things happen here.
All right, and that was that. So we will host a couple screenings and ballot casting 101 sessions. So we will play the full video. If you want to go to the whole event, I guess Britannia, you're going out, and I would block about 30 minutes of your night. And more specific information will be released on our Instagram account. So please follow us there for updates on SGA-CEC. And we'll be partnering with a couple people from Hopkins Votes. They'll be there to assist people after the screening and help people register or not register, but cast their ballots. So the 2 days in which this will happen, Friday from 2 to 4 p.m. And this Saturday from 7 to 9 p.m. Also, Saturday is a very special day. If you notice, the date is 10/10. It's Taiwanese Independence Day. So make sure to say Happy Taiwanese Independence Day to me and any other Taiwanese people you know. But yeah, so that's our project, and I'm super excited to share it with you guys on Friday and Saturday. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. That was a really cool video. Really cool. I liked it.
Thank you.
All right. So I guess, did you have anything else to add, or was that good?
That's all I have. If anyone wants to, I guess, like ask questions or give advice, I'm open to that.
Motion for a 5-minute moderated caucus with 30-second speaking time.
Can I get a second for that?
Seconded.
Seconded. All right.
Second.
All right. Thank you. If everyone could go to the participants tab and hit yes or no, or if they're abstaining, you guys can do that too. All right. So since Megan motioned it, Megan, you're going to be first on the speakers list. If anyone else wants to be added on, then they can raise their hand. So you can go ahead.
I just wanted to give props to the Civic Engagement Committee for creating that video. I feel like it's a very fine line to walk between something being cheesy and something being motivational, especially as like young adults. We're all college kids, but we know so much and have so much experience. So yeah, you guys managed to make a really motivational or inspiring video while keeping it very grounded. So yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you for your kind words.
I guess I can add myself to the speakers list because I don't see anyone. I also really liked the video. It was really cute. And I just had another question. It's like the same one I had for Grace. How are we planning on publicizing this event? Because we would want like as many people as possible to know about it.
So I think one way is would love Talia's help with posting the event dates and times and location. And also the SNF Agora Institute, in which I sit on their board, they also volunteered to help publicize our event. I will also request to make an announcement during our weekly meeting this week. And I also let people at Hopkins Votes know, so I think it's just dissemination as well. I think I'm gonna also spam the meme chats. So that's another idea.
That's cool. Also, feel free to utilize SGA's what you call Instagram too, if you want to do any of that. Or yeah.
I would love to.
All right. Does anyone else want to say something? If not, someone can motion to end the moderated caucus. Or
I just had a question, if I could jump in. So is it a 30-minute movie and then there's like a conversation about how to vote afterwards?
So after watching it, there will be people there who will be in breakout rooms, and if you want to literally cast your ballot or like make a plan to cast your ballot, there'll be people there to help. Again, Harvey and Kobe, but Harvey especially has made us like so much work into making that plan for each person in their state. So we'll definitely use that guide there as well.
Well, thanks.
awesome. Does anyone have anything else they want to say? All right, then would someone want a motion to end the moderated caucus because it's not going to expire anytime soon?
Motion in the moderated caucus.
Second.
All right, could everyone go to the participants tab and vote yes or no, or abstain, whatever. All right, so the moderate caucus has now ended. We are now going to go on to the admin dinner discussion. All right, so basically, Sam, you can turn on your video and jump in anytime because I know we were all at the same meeting, so anyone from exec. But the admin dinner is not like the Daniels dinner. It's kind of like we think of like topics or like areas of student life we want to discuss, and then we kind of like come up with a list of admin that we would want to invite to the admin dinner. So like if you have something to do with housing and dining and I don't know, like back when I was on student services, like we were working on like late night to go boxes. So then when I saw like the director of like housing and dining, I at the admin dinner I went up to him and like talked to him about it. So like the people there can really like help you like work on projects or initiatives or anything, but it'll be like online over Zoom. So we just kind of have to come up with a list of like people we want to invite based on like topics and things that we want to discuss. And it's kind of like normally we just kind of like walk around and like talk to people like when we were in person, but now I think we're gonna might do like breakout rooms where we have like one admin or like a group of people like in a breakout room, and then we're gonna rotate the admin that are there. So yeah, so I guess we can just open the discussion with that. And Sam, you can like field all the questions because I'm going to be screen sharing, so I won't be able to see.
Yeah, I mean, Mehek pretty much just covered everything. So basically, like what we were hoping to talk about is kind of two things. Well, three things. One, we need to figure out which time we're actually going to meet because that's important. Second is what issues we want to talk about. So if there's any initiatives that you're working on right now and you want to have the opportunity to meet administrators who are at those meetings, basically that's what this conversation is for. And also just if you don't really have an issue in mind, but you have a specific administrator that you'd like to be there, please also let us know. President Daniels and I believe Provost Kumar might be able to come, but President Daniels, that's the kind of Daniels dinner that we have in the spring, that we're going to be having in the spring semester this year. So he's off limits, but anybody else. So yeah.
Also, it's great for networking. So yeah. So anyone can, anyone can like raise their hand or like turn on their mic. It's not like formal right now. We're just having like a discussion. So you can just like raise your hand and like speak. You can kind of see like on the participants tab, like as it goes down, like whose hand is raised. So yeah. Oh, okay. Or actually if someone could actually motion for a moderate caucus, that might be more beneficial and help with the speaking. So
I motion for moderated caucus. 5 minutes, 30 seconds.
Seconded. All right. Could everyone go to the participants tab and hit yes or no? Also, Carolyn recommended that we start with topics. So if anyone wants to bring up like any topics that they want to discuss, you can do that too. All right, so we got 20 votes. So now we're in moderate caucus, 5 minutes, 30 seconds speaking times. Kobe, you can go first since you're the one who motioned for it.
Oh, I yield my time to the next speaker.
Okay. Does anyone else want to speak? All right, I guess I'm going to speak next. So Carolyn's asking if anyone ran on like a platform of ideas, we can kind of do it based on that. And Brianna said, what are some topics from last year? I do not recall. Sam, if you could dig them up. Oh yeah, transportation was a big thing. Sam, you can go ahead. I'll yield my time to you.
Yeah, so just to give you guys like an example of some things that we could talk about, just to kind of like get the creative juices flowing. You know, for example, like if you want to talk about free printing, then that'd be something to bring up here so we can invite the appropriate administrator. If you want to talk about climate action, that'd be good to bring up so we could invite people from the Office of Sustainability. If you want to talk about mental health, that's important to bring up so we could bring in people from the Counseling Center, possibly bring in Vice Provost for Student Health and Wellbeing, Kevin Schallenberger. So really just anything like that. I mean, anything that you all ran on or anything that since the election has suddenly become a concern, like for many of us, COVID. So really anything like that. And if you don't come up with anything during this meeting, you can also message us afterwards, but ideally we'll talk about it here.
All right, Suba, go ahead.
Can we bring up asymptomatic testing? Like,
yes.
for,
So
like everyone, not just like their pool of whoever they decided to do.
yeah. All right. Kobe.
A lot of things that the class of 2024 had issue with was like transparency during COVID updates. Is that something we could talk about?
We could like weasel that in, definitely. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
the
just
COVID.
subtly.
Yeah. Anthony.
One thing we talked about a lot last year was like building community, and especially now since everything's like virtual, like because I'm assuming even once everything calms down with COVID, there's still going to be a lot of people that choose to do online school. So like ways that we can still build community on campus with everything being virtual.
All right. Elena.
Can we talk about making university programming at times more friendly to international students?
Yes. Sorry, I'm typing, guys. Alright, I'm gonna take a pause and look at the chat. So I saw that Talia says mental health would be a good thing to discuss, especially if you could expand mental health resources for students. Okay, I'll add that. Thank you, Elena. Ben, you can go ahead.
I saw some buzz in the 2024 group me about perhaps revamping the registration system to be more friendly towards different time zones and not being less luck-based.
Not being less what?
Luck-based. Of like getting it in right at 7 a.m.
Oh, okay. Nathan, you can go ahead.
Going off of Ben's point, wasn't there a conversation earlier on with the registrar about moving registration times to the evening? Do we have any updates on what that's at?
Sam, do you want to jump onto that? I'm not sure.
Not that I know of, but that would be a good reason to put that on the list to think of who to invite.
Because I know it was delayed because of COVID, because it was supposed to happen in March, but I don't know what the restart plan is for that initiative.
All right, so definitely invite like the registrar / academic people. Julia, you can go ahead.
I don't know if this is a discussion for this situation, but something that I'm concerned about is like what graduation is going to be like for seniors in the spring.
Okay. All right. Who's in charge of that? I feel like that's Dean Andy Wilson. I feel like so. Would anyone want to extend the moderate caucus? This is really good.
Motion to extend by 10 minutes.
Extend by 10 minutes. Could I get a second?
Seconded.
With 30 seconds being 10, is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. Okay, if everyone could go to the participants tab and hit yes or no. All right. Also, if we don't take up the entire time, like we can always end it early, the moderate caucus. Is there anything else anyone wants to kind of bring up during the admin dinner? Kobe, you can go ahead.
Something I got a lot of feedback on things that people liked and things people wanted was more speaker events, especially people like the skill-based ones like resume and cover letters. Also with the online format, having like famous guests, like I think we're kind of working on that with like the artists and stuff, having more like concerts and stuff in a virtual format. I don't know if that could be an option.
I'll write that down. Nathan, go ahead.
Yeah, I feel like this is kind of the perpetual request, but conversations about more representation on institutional committees, you know, student, like what is it, advisor we talk about on the board of trustees, those types of conversations.
Okay. Megan?
For like HSS, could we also add off-campus recycling and compost stuff? HSS has had somebody reach out to us about off-campus composting and like composting bins. And also for off-campus recycling, I've personally had a lot of difficulty this fall semester finding like a recycling bin or a recycling large bin dumpster, because obviously we're not on campus. There are no bins around us within like a 5-block radius or anything. That's solely for recycling, so we have to drive like a couple minutes out, like near the highway-ish. So if we could do that, please, thanks.
All right. I like the idea too, actually, a lot. Cece, you can go ahead.
This is a little bit harder, I think, but academic affairs has gotten pretty consistent complaints about certain courses not having like structure. So essentially, like kids are just, I mean, it's asynchronous everything, and sometimes no office hours. And sometimes they just like do, or if it is synchronous, they don't take into account like international students, and they just like, especially I think I heard one kid, she said for lab, they did one like lab like synchronously, and that was it. There was no recording or anything. So I don't know if some standard for online learning still needs to be put in place, but.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that was a good idea. Elena, you can go ahead.
Yeah, I have two things. First, if we could get a faster response from faculty, especially with financial aid, because I know I personally, my financial aid advisor just didn't contact me for 2 months after I emailed her, and that's a problem. And then also if there could be some more personal academic support options like one-on-one or just like very small group, because pilot, it's very team-based, but also a very large group, even if you do go into breakout rooms, and that sometimes limits learning.
So you're kind of saying like smaller classrooms or smaller like academic things, like academic helping type things?
Yeah, academic support.
Okay. Megan, you can go ahead.
Yes, I just wanted to add to like CC and Elena's point. So Elena's point was like, I think it's also good to have those kind of like small working groups, not only because school is hard and you need to work together, but also because it's a great way to make friends, because that's obviously a big impediment for class of 2024. And also adding on to CC point about academics, I don't know if anybody else has been experiencing this semester, but usually it'll be one assessment per week per class. But for some reason this semester, a lot of my classes have been doing multiple assignments per week per class. And it's become a lot more work than expected. And as if they think that our suddenly 24 hours in a day became 30 hours in a day just because we're in quarantine, which is not true. Thanks.
All right. Julia.
Another thing that I'm concerned about is, I guess, like hiring practices, especially for like Black and Indigenous faculty members.
Okay. All right. Cece, was your hand still up, or did I not lower it from the last time we talked?
No, I think I'm good.
All right. Well, this has been really helpful. If anyone has anything else to add, you can drop it in the chat or say it right now. All right. So Carolyn said, have we thought about how things will be different on a virtual platform for this meeting? Carolyn, would you like to speak more about that?
Sure. So I am not familiar, so I haven't seen this happen, but based on what I've heard about what this usually is, if it was typically a situation where all senators were invited and could have conversations with the administrators that were present, how that's going to look different because it's Zoom, and having, 30 people or however many senators there are on a call with several administrators, multiple conversations can't happen at once. So yes, y'all have done a beautiful job of brainstorming. I think the ideas are fantastic. But have you thought about either how you prioritize, which topics are talked about during your meeting, who's speaking, who's moderating the conversation, because it's just going to look so different.
Yeah, so we were thinking, or we assumed that maybe it would be breakout rooms, and that in the breakout rooms, like the host would be able to like switch people in and out. So like the group of like the members of the faculty could kind of sit in the room, and you could switch like members out based on like the senators out based on like who they want to talk to and like who they have interest in like talking to and building relationships with. And so if the breakout rooms are like pretty small, like if there were like one faculty member and like 3 senators, like it would allow for like kind of like normal and natural conversation to flow. But I'm not sure if that has been like finalized or if that's like the plan like in place.
Okay. Can I point of order? Can I still talk? So that's wonderful. Also, if that does become the process, I think still thinking about who's moderating the entire situation. So like who's putting people in breakout rooms. And then that also still limits you on topics. So how or when are you going to decide which topics will be discussed? Because that will determine who gets invited as far as administrators are concerned. It'll determine who's invited. And we're getting later in the semester, so picking a date, I know that was one of your topics, but picking a date and a time or multiple dates and times to be able to offer to administrators to see if they're available would probably be helpful.
All right, that sounds good. Sam, I know you're wanting to be on the speakers list. You asked me like a long time ago, so go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I was just gonna say on that, I guess a couple things. One, like that's something that we're talking to Smita about. We talked about it at our meeting yesterday with her. So basically, our plan was after this, we're going to we're going to communicate with everybody after this to determine dates that work. Then we're going to get in touch with Smita and you and Calvin about seeing which dates you think would work for everyone else. In terms of covering the topics, so the way this has worked in the past, at least when I've been around, is that it's less kind of like a formal presentation where we sort of talk to people, and it's more that we go into breakout rooms and it's kind of just you have casual conversations with the administrators, and the purpose of the topics is just to know like which administrators to invite, so we can make sure that everybody gets to like have those casual conversations and get to know the administrators that they want to work with.
All right, Nathan, I see your hands up, so you can go ahead.
Yeah, just in terms of logistically how it happens, I don't know if people saw, but Zoom just got updated, and now you can choose what breakout room you join if you're a participant. So that might be a new thing to consider if we have rooms with admin and then have people able to move between different rooms and choose which rooms that they want. Oh, sorry, Ananya, I see the chats. That might be a better way to kind of facilitate as close to like a quote unquote mingling event as we can online.
All right, that's very true. That's very true. Would anyone like to say anything else? Also, I'm just gonna take the floor for a second. We want to kind of figure out what time most people were free. So we can't kind of do it in like SGA time or like during our GBM, because most administrators have like gone home for the day and like they have like personal lives, everything like that. So I was wondering if people would be comfortable with having the admin dinner, like it previously has been like this before too, like an hour and a half before GBM started. So this meeting starts 8 Eastern time, so I think we would start the admin dinner like 6 Eastern time or like 6:30 Eastern time, because it was like 1.5 hours. So maybe if I could get a straw poll kind of like to see if that would work for a lot of people. If you guys could like go to the participants tab and hit yes or no. So like don't feel afraid to hit the no. Like I want to know like what time most people would be like available to come.
Wait, what was the time you said again?
Like an hour and a half before like GBM on Tuesday. So like 6 p.m. Eastern time. All right, so 13 yes, 9 no. Yeah, the meeting with the admin would only be like an hour and a half. Like it would not take longer than an hour and a half, like at all. Like that's the max. So I would say an hour to an hour and a half. And since our SGA meetings at 8 Eastern time, like we would peace out then, you know?
Sorry, really quick question.
Yeah.
What week were we thinking again? Sorry if I missed this.
Oh, no, I didn't mention it, my bad. We were thinking of doing it the last week of October. That's what Smita told us would like be a good date to do it. So like October 27th, that's Tuesday. October 27th at 6 p.m. Eastern time. So I don't know if that changes anyone's votes or not. So 15 yes and 7 no. Let me write that down.
Sorry, that changes my vote. I'm now a no.
Well, wait, could we first just vote on October 27th at 6 p.m.? 7th at 6 p.m. Okay. So October 27th at 6 p.m. So 15 yes, 8 no. 15 yes, 8 no. All right. Would anyone be open to November 3rd, 6 p.m. Eastern time? I don't actually we talked
That's
this
election day.
Yeah, she said that wouldn't be possible. But oh yeah, that is yeah, okay. So we're just gonna discount that for now, but yeah. All right. We'll send out probably like a better form to figure out people's timings like tonight. Like maybe like a doodle poll or something. But thank you guys so much for your feedback. If anyone has anything else they want to add, I'm gonna go and drop the doc into the chat so people can edit. It's also on our agenda, so like you can feel free to like say anything on it. But yeah. All right, the moderator caucus is gonna end, or I think it literally ended like 2 minutes ago and we were still talking, so my bad. All right, so I think that brings a close to our meeting. I'll kind of like polish up all the things we talked about and kind of focus them on like areas so we can like choose specific people to invite. But yeah, thank you guys all. We're gonna go on to perspective business now. So advancing legislation and announcements. If anyone wants to say anything, you can raise your hand. Sam, do you want to say something?
I'm good. I mean, all I was gonna say is remember retreat this weekend. Get hype.
Get hype.
I just wanted to say, good job on the discussion about a lot of these bills. We haven't really had much discussion on a few of the ones in the past, but I feel like we brought up a lot of good points today, and we used Parley Pro pretty well. So good job, everyone.
Yeah, also, I'm just gonna plug this once again. Send me your fun facts. Please send me your fun facts. You can text them to me, totally fine. Yeah. Also, if you're not gonna be there, you have to let us know. Like you have to like let us know that you're not gonna be there, because that like changes how many like people are in each breakout room, and we're gonna try to predetermine that beforehand. Also, if you for sure cannot go, like you have something like an actual thing, which we're gonna need you to send a picture of, then we're gonna record it, and I'm gonna put up like the itinerary with all the links to all the PowerPoints and everything, and I'll probably send like out a quiz. It'll be like super short. This is only for people who cannot attend at all, and you just have to like do the quiz, and we can like mark you as like absent, excused. But yeah, Carolyn, I know you have something to say, so you can go ahead.
Yeah, just real quick, because Calvin let me know this was a thing that I didn't know. On the homepage of Hopkins Groups, Hoptoberfest concert will be streamed live on the homepage of Hopkins Groups, which is pretty legit. I don't know how y'all feel, but that makes me excited. So the image is actually there right now. So if you scroll, when you're on the homepage, if you scroll down just a little bit, you'll see it says this event hasn't started yet, but you know, looks pretty cool and exciting.
All right, that sounds fun. I might go. All right. Does anyone else have anything? Otherwise, I'm going to move into public input period. All right. So now we're in public input period. I'll give the public like 30 seconds. Is there anyone from the public here? No, there isn't, right? All right. So I guess that's it. If anyone would like to motion to end the meeting. You can-
Motion to end the meeting.
I guess I can.
Ended.
All in favor of ending the meeting? If you're against it, just hit the no. If you're for it, you don't have to vote. I'm gonna assume automatic yes. Ben said bye-bye. All right, guys, meeting has ended. Thank you guys so much for a productive and constructive feedback and everything on all the stuff. So thank you.
Hi, everyone.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.